Thank you so much for coming. And did you come all the way from South Africa?
Believe it or not, I'm still a little bit jet lagged, so bear with me if I do slow my words and sound a little bit foggy. Yeah, I just landed today.
Yeah, great. Welcome to London and
Thank
welcome to
you.
the London International Pan African Film Festival. We're really happy to see you here. And yeah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I am first and foremost a storyteller. I'm a theatre and television and filmmaker. I'm also a community organizer, so a lot of my work is grounded in activism and really, community organizational work.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about your film? How did you start with the idea of making this film?
So the deal was really, I think, a film that was born from the need to address a number of intersectional issues that were arising in South Africa. So it was really more my outlook in terms of addressing some of the issues that I think, more than anything, were really quite exasperated by COVID. I think during the COVID era in South Africa, we saw quite a huge spike in gender-based violence. It was also a response to the issue of the widening gap, in terms of social inequalities in South Africa and access to education for a lot of young people, and how that can often have really dire impact on young people that are really trying to get into the higher education system in South Africa, which is quite exorbitant in terms of affordability. I think a lot of people watched globally around 2016 when we had the Fees Must Fall uh, outbreak in South Africa, where young people took to the streets to really protest for access to education. So it really was a response to some of these social issues, commentary on what that must really feel like for a young person living in South Africa.
Okay. Right. Any questions from the room?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. So it ended quite. I was so nervous for the girl when she went back into the lift, and I'm so curious to ask if it was a decision that was made during editing to stop there and have the audience sort of, fill in the lines of what happens next, or if you wanted it to be really poignant with her going back into the lift at that moment.
So the deal actually, funny enough, began with the ending in mind. So the ending was one of the most intentional, and we kind of worked all the way to the front. And I think one of the hardest things about Tandika's character was trying to create a character that was complex, that was layered, but at the same time, that was really stuck in a situation that's really difficult. We wanted to really address the issue, the very complex and sensitive issue of consent and coercion, because they can often seem like the same thing. The lines can be quite blurred. So we really wanted to really, as opposed to offering a conclusive sort of ending to the film, leave it open-ended for the audience to decide in terms of, what they think happens forward. Because oftentimes in life, we go through situations that don't always have a very clear ending. So yeah, the ending was quite intentional.
Sorry, last thing I said.
Yes, of course.
I guess this is more of a comment, but I thought it was really powerful, and I loved how she had the male friend who was reaffirming that, you can say no afterwards. I think sometimes when we have these kind of conversations, the men are often painted as the villains throughout the whole narrative, and I think having that friend there was a really powerful touch. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you for picking on that. In fact, one of the things I always say in talking about like my creative process in making the film was that even though I wanted to really speak to the plight of women in South Africa, there's a powerful quote I saw actually from the first documentary that was played today, that said something along the lines of, you have to be in it to change it. And I think oftentimes when we think about some of the social issues that we face, it's so often to be like, to think about like gender-based violence, for example, being an issue that affects women. So as a result, a lot of the times, the people, which are often perpetrators, which are oftentimes men, tend to really feel a disconnection to the issue, because they feel like it's a woman's issue. So why should we care, right? Whereas we know that change really takes the galvanization of everybody. Like everybody has to kind of come to the process. And in making the film, I really wanted to center it around Thandeka, but at the same time make commentary about the kind of different men, so that as men watch this film as well, they can really consider who sort of comes close to who they are. So the 4 characters that you meet in the film, Thandeka's dad, the concierge, Lawrence, who is our antagonist in the film, as well as Thandeka's boyfriend, best friend, actually, in the film, kind of represent the different iterations of men. And obviously there's so many much more that exist. But yeah, that was really one of the tools that I hoped that the audience would really connect with, the different kind of like masculinities that were being explored in the film.
Great. I mean, it's a beautiful conversation, but unfortunately we don't have enough time. And yeah, I think we're gonna have to stop from this question. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
We're gonna move to the next film.
Whoa, ibe barakela, na tusukumbila ngani ya nyuma bikono, whoa, ibe barakela, na tusukumbila ngani ya nyuma bikono, ayatosini kende, ambeto kode, ayatolombere, ambeto kode, tolo malo, ugari kumakana, ayatolo malo, akebali kumakana de, sini kende, abebe, sini kende wa, abebe sa.